I'm going to do a two-part series on Revolution Slider, which is a plugin you use within WordPress to add sliders just about anywhere on your website. It could be inside of a widget, it could be on your home page, it could be on just a regular page, posts, just about anywhere you could put a shortcode, or it has its own widget. Like I mentioned, you can actually use a Revolution Slider widget. This is going to be split into two parts. The first part is going to be just creating a basic slider, and then the second part I'll show you how to create a slider based on posts, which is a new feature that came out maybe with version 4, I think, is when they started using that. So we'll look at both of those in two different videos. But the first video, once you're inside Revolution Slider, we're just going to create a new slider, and I'm going to call this slider Slider 1. You've got the option when you're inside of a post or a page and you have like your your visual editor at the top, you can add Revolution Slider up there, so you don't have to remember the shortcode. But if you are manually putting it somewhere, it's going to have the brackets around it, rev_slider space, and then whatever your slider alias is here, which is Slider 1, and then you can't see it, but the bracket closes out on the other side. Typically you're gonna, we don't want to choose posts because we're not doing that. We're not going to specify posts. We're just going to leave it as gallery. And on the layout, I usually leave this auto responsive. You can customize the slider size, make it full screen fixed, lots of options there, but auto responsive does a pretty good job of resizing for whatever screen the slider's on, whether it's a tablet, phone, website, and all that good stuff. You may want to change your grid settings based on, if you've got a wide banner versus, your ratio might be different if you're showing maybe just standard camera images. So you'll just have to kind of tweak with that, and you can just, adjust your height or width based on the size of your images. I can't really give you a one size fits all on that because there's just really not. So you just kind of go up and down on those until you figure out. It's not a big deal if your picture is bigger on the ratio than what fits inside the slider. It's just going to kind of crop part of it off. But if you don't want it cropped, just kind of play with that. Most of the general settings you don't have to touch anything, but if you want to, I'll show you a couple things that I adjust just because I'm nitpicky about them, I guess. In the appearance section, I don't really like the shadow at the bottom usually. I would take that to no shadow, but you can leave the shadow, if you like it. And there's a timer at the top that'll show you how long it's going to be before the next slide shows. By default, that's on. You can take that off. Navigation, these little bullets bug me for some reason. I'll show you those in a minute. You can take those off there if you want to. And then just, there's lots of other options that are really alternative, just kind of, cosmetic type things that you can adjust if you want to. But we're not going to mess with all that. I'll leave the defaults on just so you can see what it's going to look like by default when we create the slider. So we're going to create it. Once it's created, we're going to go edit slides, and I'm going to have a new slide. I can make the slide transparent if I wanted to, where whatever's on the background, like, let's see, I don't know. Well, anyways, whatever your background is, if it's white, black, or a picture, it's going to, show that background if it's transparent. I'm not going to mess with that. We're going to do just a new slide. If you do a new slide, it's going to say, okay, this is a new slide. You said you don't want it transparent, so tell me, what do you want the background to be? You can choose something already in your media library, or you can upload something. I'm going to upload this blue thing. Insert it, and then we're going to continue on and edit the slide. So we got our title, the state, I want it published. I could even specify a certain date that I want it visible if I want to. You don't have to mess with most of those, but it's nice to know that the option's there. I've got different options on my background source and all that kind of stuff, but again, I don't have to touch any of that if I don't want to. Basically, the way it's going to work is we've got our background slide, and then we're going to add layers to that slide that go on top of it, and it can show up at different times. They can pop in the left, the right, they could just fade in from the middle. We're gonna just start with text. That's way too small, way too boring, but the cool thing is Revolution Slider has built-in CSS classes where you can choose, you know, what you want your text to look like. I'm gonna choose this large white background with black text. And I'll put in hello world. And we're gonna stop with that on that layer, except for the animation. I'm gonna have that come in long from the right. That's really fast. So we're gonna slow it down to 600 milliseconds. I don't like the default 300. It's pretty fast. So we've got it 600 coming in from the right. And if I want to, I can preview this right here. So hello world. Now I'm going to add a layer image. I'm going to take this giraffe. I've already got in my media library, or I could upload something if I wanted to. He's going to be pretty big, but let's do it this way. I guess we'll do it this way. All right, so you see how he's way too big. I could go back. I could do one of two things. I could go in my media library and I could edit my giraffe. You know, I'm not going to get too much into editing images, but I could edit the image, which this is the best way to do it, is to actually edit the image itself and cut him down, you know, cut him down to a different size where he's smaller, rather than having it so large and taking up bandwidth by being, you know, loading a huge giraffe. I would just click scale image, and then I would change this, you know, whatever, to 300 or whatnot. But just for the sake of showing you how to do it the easy way, which I don't totally recommend, I don't know why I'm really doing it, but Revolution Slider does have a built-in way to scale images without having to go in and edit them. But again, even though the image looks smaller on your site, it's still taking up that extra bandwidth. So if you have just an image that's huge, when you try to put it in here, it just might take up, let's say it takes up the whole background, and you're like, where's my image? It's just you can only see maybe the corner of your image because it's massive. Yeah, you can go in here within Revolution Slider and scale it back, but I really would go into your media library and scale it back that way, because even though it looks smaller, like we're going to scale our giraffe, let's take him down to, I don't know, 300 and make him proportional. That's still too big. 200. All right, that'll probably, let's see. Yeah, I'm picky. 175. Okay, so there's our giraffe. So he looks small, but it's actually, I'm not positive if Revolution Slider is doing this or not, but it's probably not. It's probably still loading the full size image and then Revolution Slider scaling it back. So you really want to go scale that back on the media level if you can. But it is possible to do this. And with the giraffe, he wasn't that much bigger, so it's not a big deal for me to go ahead and just scale him back anyways. So I'm going to scale him back, update it. I want the giraffe to come in. Let's make him come in crazy slow. And random rotate. Let's preview it. Ooh, all right, there he is. So he's slow-mo coming in, and let's add another cool thing you can do, Revolution Slider, you can add video. So you've got YouTube, Vimeo, HTML5, for the most part, probably gonna use YouTube or Vimeo. I'm gonna grab this Devin Super Trap video I've got open on another screen. You're looking, this is, let me pull this in. This is what you want, this last part right here. So that's what I copied out. So I've copied that out, search, and then you know, you got all these options. You can resize the video if you need to, loop it, autoplay. I could hide the controls. I'm just going to add it in here just so you can see what it'll look like out of the box. And that's a really annoying title. That's way too long. So let's take part of that off. Does that take it off? Let's see. Well, it's just showing the title anyways. And somebody could play the video within the slider, or that video. The video could be auto started, you know, within the video settings. I could have had that start automatically if I wanted to. All right, so we've got our slider ready. We're going to update it. And then once it's updated, in my second video, I'm going to insert a post slider into a page. So just for the sake of variety, I'm going to insert this slider into a widget. But now looking at my website, it's probably going to look hideous because the widget area is tiny on this. These are all widget areas on this left side. I don't think this template out of the box has a better widget area. So we're just going to use what we got. And I'm going to drag Revolution Slider over here into the widget area called Primary Sidebar. It does say it has a footer widget area. Let's try that. I haven't done much with this template. I'll do it everywhere. Not just homepage. I don't care about the title because I don't want that to show. Let's see what the footer widget area looks like. We're going to scroll down. Okay, well, there he is. I haven't done much with this footer widget area to know what's going on, to be honest. You can see that it resizes. I'm guessing that I might need another. This widget area might be you'll notice this line. I don't know. This template is just, this just isn't a good idea to try to shove this slider into a tiny widget area. But if I had a larger widget area, which does happen on some websites, this would be a good idea. But let's do it on this one. Yeah, you know, so there it goes. It's tiny, but it resized, and it'll do the same thing on a phone or tablet. But that's how you add it to a widget area. That's how you create a basic slider with a Revolution Slider. In the second video, we're going to look at how to create a post slider. And what that'll do is, as you add posts to your site, it'll automatically pull in those posts to a slider with the featured image. So pretty handy. That wraps this one up. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.